What's going on, guys? Alex from the 14EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the EMPEDC Nymble W. Now, this is a prototype, and this pass around group was started by Kevin over at Left EDC. So shout out to Kevin for putting this on and for allowing me to check out my first Nymble. Guys, the Nymble has been kind of an EDC staple for like the last year and a half to 2 years. I feel like it's been out for that long. John, the creator and founder of EMPEDC, has a really cool product going for him. This is now the fifth or sixth, I think, rendition of the Nymble. So he started out with the original Nymble, and then I think he did a Gen 2 Nymble. He has a liner lock Nymble. He has a Tanto Nymble. He has a Nymble X, which is a bigger version with a different type of blade. And now he has the Nymble W. He also has some more designs and some different designs from the Nymble coming out in the near future. I see him posting stuff on his Instagram about it all the time, which, speaking of his Instagram, I will leave EMPEDC link down below, both the website and the Instagram, if you guys are interested in checking them out. Now, this, like I said, is a prototype, so they are not currently out yet. They did a drop, which was a couple weeks ago. Today is August 30th. I think they did it on the August 20th, maybe. They did the Nymble W drop. I did not get in on it. I didn't get in on it, I guess. I just didn't have, I don't know if I just didn't want to pay for it, or I just didn't really have any, reason to get in on, I guess. Like I said, this is my first Nymble. I've never handled one before. I've never checked one out. But on the website, it says that they are going to be releasing later this fall. So if you did not get in on the pre-order, they will be doing a scheduled drop, probably on a Saturday. It's typically when John does his drops. And as long as you keep up with them on Instagram, follow along on the website and stuff like that, you will be notified and can see when. But it'll be later this fall sometime, whenever the W's will get back from production and they will do a drop. So and this is my first Nymble. A huge reason is because, honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of how the original Nymble looked. I just thought it was a little too small. I didn't love the, spear point kind of style blade. It wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't really, want to go out of my way to spend that much money on a knife that I really didn't enjoy, aesthetically wise. The liner lock was cool. It was a little bit cheaper, but again, it was the same size, same profile, same blade of the original Nymble. I just wasn't a huge fan of the overall look of it. The Nymble X was probably the first one. The Nymble X, I think, came before the Nymble T. So the Nymble X was a bigger version of the knife. These are the Nymble W is like 3.3 inches. I'm not really sure how. I think it's like a 3 or 3.1 inch blade on the original Nymble. I know it's hard to keep track, guys. It really is. But the Nymble X had like a sheep's foot style blade, and it was like 3.5 inches. And that was really the first one that I was kind of considering buying, but I passed on it. And then the Nymble T I actually kind of like too. It'd probably be my second favorite up until the Nymble W. And it had some cool honeycomb patterns on it as well. Again, I was close to, maybe purchasing that one, but I held off. And then here comes the Nymble W, which to me is my favorite aesthetically, most aesthetically pleasing one that they've come out with. And I have really enjoyed having this knife in for the 11 or 12 days that I've had it. It is really a cool knife. It's fidgetable. Ergonomics are just fantastic. This thing melts into my hand. Awesome material. So I definitely put off on learning about the hype from the Nymbles until now. I mean, it's been, like I said, a year and a half, I think, at least, that he's been producing these. Well over a year for sure. But I'm glad that I finally got to experience one, and I definitely want to add one to the collection at some point. I don't know if I will try to get in on the drop of these, since again I missed out on the pre-order later this fall. If I have some money laying around, if I try to sell something. But I really enjoy this knife, guys. It has been in my pocket a lot since I got it in. I've fidgeted with it a ton while sitting at my desk. It has been something that I really reach for. And you can say that about every knife that a reviewer has into review, because you're supposed to be carrying it. You're supposed to be, feeling it out, learning about it and stuff like that. But some knives aren't as fun to reach for and as to carry, and you kind of have to force yourself to put it in pocket. This is not one of those knives, guys. This has really been just a fantastic piece. And I'm going to quit rambling. We're already 5 minutes into it, but yeah, this thing is just awesome. So starting off with materials, you guys can see it is rocking just a very, you know, stone washed plain tie type of finish there. I need to turn my TV off. Got some weird, I have my TV like commercials going across here and it just made it look purple. But stone wash finish there. These are in M390, and then you can see it is a frag pattern. And coincidentally, this is also my first frag pattern that I've handled, which is really cool as well. Plain tie, everything, plain tie clip, hardware, frag. It is a frame lock. You have a front flipper, a normal style back flipper that kind of was engineered by Vero, I believe. You have a hole, and just a very good looking package. The pot clip, I wasn't a huge fan of how kind of fat it is back here, but it's something that's also grown on me as well, and it works pretty well. It's not a deep carry or anything, but definitely works for being a mill titanium clip very, very well. This is on bearings. There is internal milling on both sides. There are 3 cutouts on the show scale side, and a big pocket with a couple small pockets on the lock side. You do have the EMPEDC logo there on the pivot, which I love how companies are starting to incorporate that on the pivot. This is a flat ground blade. Not like super thin behind the edge, but it comes with a pretty, you know, decently thick stock. So it comes down to a decent edge considering that. Just a menacing Wharncliffe style blade. Really, really nice. Yeah, I think that's, oh, here's a titanium backspacer right there. And I think that's all for materials, guys. So, excuse me, take a sip of water real quick. So we are going to jump into action. And the action on this thing is awesome. I mean, it's a lot of the, you know, hype around the Nymbles is it is such a fidgety platform, and it is kind of just a little fidget monster because you have, let's see here, you have the thumb flick, so that's one way. You have the slow roll, which is 2 ways. You have the middle finger flick, that's 3 ways. You have the front flipper, it's 4 ways. You have the back flipper, that's 5 ways. So you have a ton of, you can even do the, I can't get it real well, the over finger type of flip, right, like that, but it kind of digs in a little bit. But if you get used to it, you can do it pretty consistently. But the thumb flick, very snappy. This thing has a very good detent. So you can hear it snap back into place. Middle finger flick is just absolute money. You get a really good purchase and it just fires right out of there like nothing. Back flipper is very nice. This is kind of the first one that I've, no, I take that back. The Avant had one like this too. But this is kind of like the modernized flipper tab back here. And it's just very easy. You just pull right back and it snaps open. Very hard to get them to fail. I mean, you can, but a lot of times it's because it hits your finger, or it's kind of slow coming around and it hits your finger. And the front flipper, very nice as well. A lot of the times, got something itchy in my nose. A lot of times, knives with lots of deployment methods, it can be easy to mess up one of them because you typically want to tune the detent to one of them. But for this one, like, every one is snappy and clean and crisp, and I really, have no issues at all. Like, this thing is very fun to fidget with. You can see the action is not like a guillotine, but it's very controllable. Just a few shakes and it's closed. It feels very premium. These are made by QSP, and I think they did a great job on it. Like, yes, guillotine knives are fun to play with and they're fun to fidget with, but sometimes that controlled drop just makes it feel a little bit like I said, more premium, more well-built kind of. It's hard to explain, but I really, as much as I love, full guillotine drops, it's just hard to beat sometimes a nice controlled shake drop. I mean, all you got to do really is it drops to your nail and then bang it once and it's closed. Or you can do the small shakes. But one thing I will note is there is a detent ramp. So if you break it, you kind of have this like dead period in here, or dead area in here. You have to get it past that, but as long as you get used to it and you know where that is going to be, you're not really gonna have much of an issue. So action is phenomenal. Next up is ergonomics, and guys, this might be the most comfortable ergonomic knife I felt in a long time. For some reason, like as soon as I flicked it open and went to get into this grip up here with this choil, I was just really kind of blown away about how comfortable this thing is, guys. It just melded into my hand. You know, you have the choil here, you have a finger groove here, and this area here for your back 3 fingers, and it's straight off the top. The titanium is contoured, but it's also that frag pattern gives it a really nice grip. And like I said, it melts into my hand. It feels so comfortable. You have this jimping riding the whole way on the top of the blade due to the front flipper. It's nice and long. So anywhere, if you land back here, if you land up here, and it's really nice, like thin jimping. It's not super aggressive, so you're not gonna have to worry about it, you know, tearing up your hands or being uncomfortable. But just, I mean, it's so nice. You're doing precise cuts. On it, like back here even, it's comfortable. I can still get all 4 fingers on here. My pinky's kind of just hanging on for dear life back there. But most of the time I just gravitate, you know, I open the knife and I just go right into that choil to do whatever cuts. Or you can use kind of a pinch grip. I do this style a lot whenever I'm ripping open Amazon packages. If you have to pinch it a little bit more, it's still very comfortable because you have a nice, decently tall blade there. So, you know, all over, saber grip comfortable, saber grip with a choil comfortable, hammer grip is comfortable, draw cut very comfortable, reverse hammer grip I think is what they call this if you're going to do some gas station knife fights, which this would be very good for considering it has that nice piercing tip out there. Just all around really, really good stuff. And it, as much as, you know, the Nymbles are hyped up for, again, they're fidgetable, their fidgety factor, you know, just cool materials and stuff like that. The ergos were really what kind of sucked me in at first. It was just kind of the first thing that stuck out to me. And then the more and more I played with it and fidgeted with it and carried it and used it, everything else kind of fell in line after that. But the ergos are just stupidly comfortable. And I really can't, you know, stress it enough of how nice it fits into your hand, how the Wharncliffe gives you a very utilitarian style of blade. You can be doing a lot of things with it, a lot of different cuts, a lot of different activities, a lot of different situations. Just, it's so comfortable. And the frag, you know, frag has been kind of another thing that's been popular nowadays. And again, this is my first frag pattern I've handled. I feel like sometimes frag can be too aggressive. It can kind of rip up things and make your hands raw. But this is nice and subtle. And like I said, on the edges, it's nice and contoured. It just makes for a really, really great ergonomic experience. You know, from a cutting standpoint, the only thing that maybe would have made it a little bit slicier is if they put a hollow grind on there. I think a hollow would look absolutely beautiful on this knife. But a flat definitely gets the job done. You know, it comes down to a thin enough edge. Definitely not the thinnest I've ever felt. But for cutting geometry and everything like that, it definitely performs very well. So ergos are fantastic. Cutting is great. Everything with that sort of category, I have no complaints about. So next up is carry. And like I already said, this has a milled titanium clip that is not deep carry, but it carries very well for a milled clip. You don't really have too much sticking out of the pocket. And what you do have sticking out of your pocket is just because of the way the knife is shaped like that. The way the handle kind of tapers off and cuts back here. But it's a very lightweight knife for being titanium because of those, you know, milling pockets. If there wasn't anything milled on the knife, it would definitely be heavier. But for the size, this being like a 3.3 inch blade, I think it's very, very adequate. And it can, you know, it definitely sits in the pocket very well. Drops down in. You have nothing here to, you know, no flipper tab because the flipper is pointed downward. So you have to physically get under the knife to have anything catch. You don't have like a flipper tab pointing this way like typical knives do. So it carries very well there. I've carried this in my front right pocket and my back right pocket of my shorts. I've even thrown this in my gym shorts pocket just when I've been kind of like lounging around the house or if we've like gone on a walk with our dog. Toss it in there. And even with gym shorts, like it hasn't been clipped or anything. It's just been free floating in the pocket. It hasn't even been that bad weight wise. So carries very, very well. You know, weight is very adequate, like I said, for this style of knife. And really, there's not much else for me to say about it. You know, I just don't want to continue to repeat myself, but carries well, weight is good, and it doesn't snag on your hands or anything like that. Overall, a nice package, a nice weight. So carry, 2 thumbs up. That takes me to my final category of price point and would I recommend this knife. Right off the bat, I would absolutely recommend this knife. I was one of those guys that held off on getting a Nymble that just, you know, it wasn't super. I always followed along with what they were putting out and the drops that he was doing. But it just wasn't one of those knives that, although I thought it was cool, it had some cool, you know, I've used cool twice. While it was cool and while it had some good things going for it and a lot of, you know, cool and intriguing sort of factors for it, it was just one of those things that I never felt the urge to go buy, never felt the urge to, you know, go pick one up on one of the drops. Of course, I said I really like the Nymble X and I like the Nymble T, the Tanto. Those are two of the, out of all the models he's done, those were the two that I've kind of like put some thought into and I maybe was going to. But I held off. And I think that if I were to buy one, guys, the Nymble W is just absolutely, you know, stunning, gorgeous, whatever adjective you want to call this. And it's just a beautiful piece of machinery, a beautiful cutting piece that has a lot going for it. The action is just, you know, super spot on, super controllable, super fun to fidget with. Ergos are just stupidly awesome, amazing, like whatever adjective, like I said, you want to say with this knife, guys, it's it. I mean, I don't like, this is probably one of the best knives that I've handled in a while for being comfortable in hand. And I have a lot of ergonomically friendly knives that fit well in my hand, but this thing just, for some reason, it just feels like a step above some other stuff. And it's just a nice package. That blade is just beautiful. I love Wharncliffe style blades, sheep's foot style blades. Just a very nice pronounced tip, straight edge, very utilitarian, but you can do a lot of nice things with it. Yeah, so I would absolutely recommend this knife. On the website, which again, I will leave the website and the Instagram page linked down below. These went for $325 on the pre-order, and that seems to be a fair price. I think they started out like right below 300, but that was again a year and a half ago. So with everything else that's going on in the country and all the inflation that we unfortunately have to deal with, it's gone up in price a little bit, but I think $325 is very, you know, adequate, right in that ballpark for the materials you're getting. I mean, M390 bearings, frag tie, milled titanium clip, backspacer, awesome action. I mean, you're getting a lot for that money, and I think it's, like I said, absolutely worth it. I'm willing to bet and willing to guess on the drop whenever he gets them in a couple months. They'll probably be $340 or $350. He typically takes a little bit of money off for the pre-orders, but even in that range, I think it's still absolutely worth it. I think I would pay $350 for this, and I think, you know, if I have some extra funds laying around at that, you know, time, hopefully it's not until like October or so. Maybe I'll even sell some stuff to make some money for it, but I could really see myself picking one of these up because I definitely, like I said, missed on the pre-order, but this has been a fantastic piece for me in the couple, you know, week and a half that I've had it, and I have, you know, really enjoyed it. So I really want to add a Nymble to the collection, and I think the Nymble W is the Nymble for me. So, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's really all I have to say. I feel like I've got my point across very well. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I feel like I raved a lot, which is good because a knife like this definitely deserves all the rave and all the praise it gets. So again, Kevin, thank you for putting together this group. Kevin has been putting together a lot of knives that he gets in. He makes pass rounds for all of the rest of his you know, YouTube buddies and stuff like that, and I really do appreciate it because I've gotten to check out some cool knives that way, and this is no exception. So that was my full review of the EMPEDC Nymble W, guys. An absolutely beautiful knife. Keep an eye on their Instagram and their website for, you know, updates and everything like that, and to see when he is going to get them in. What normally happens is he gets them in, he gets all the pre-orders sent out, and then it's, like I said, it's typically on Saturdays that I've noticed he does his drops. So hopefully maybe a Saturday in middle of October, somewhere in there, it can be time to drop them and everything, and then maybe I will get lucky, maybe you'll get lucky, who knows, maybe we'll both get lucky. So but that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to use code 814EDC at Blue Creek Knives for 10% off of your purchase, which will also be linked down below. It's in all my videos now. Yeah, so hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.